Yes, we do.
Hey guys, Ben here, and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 5. Today we're going to be talking about the Season 5 Episode 8 ending, so the mid-season finale, which was also the 100th episode. I did my review on it a couple of days ago. Now I'm finally getting around to do my actual video on the ending and what's going on to do with it, because there is so much that we can actually theorize about, and I've just packed a load of stuff into this one video, and then obviously in the next few days we'll move on to some more Elseworld stuff. They just released the first sneak peek. It's nothing like too amazing, nothing too much to break down, so I'm making this video first. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you're new, so you don't miss any DC TV videos later this year. So in The Flash's 100th episode, as we headed towards the end of the episode, we got some major reveals, and one of them was to do with Sherlock Wells and the fact that he was able to decrypt some of the symbols Nora had been writing in her journal, and this journal is in fact a way so that no one else can read it, but she's taken note of everything happening in regards to the timeline, in regards to time travel, everything that's happening, and it's seemingly with nefarious intent, and she sends it to someone, which we'll talk about in a minute, and essentially that sets it up. The idea of her actually manipulating everyone else around her, actually not telling the truth as to why she's here, what she's actually trying to do, because she can time travel willy-nilly anywhere, so I think there's a lot more depth as to what's going on. And so then we go to the special room inside Star Labs, and she goes to Gideon and she implants that data, sends it off to someone, and we go to 2049 and Nora travels there, and you can see her go into what looks like Iron Heights. She's in the metahuman wing, and it's revealed in the episode that she is working with Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash. This is a version of him. We don't know from what time or place, but all we know is he's been captured, he's in the prison, but he also does have a version of Gideon in his cell. I think a lot of people are overlooking that, but that is how he's getting all the answers. So this is a version of him that has this version of Gideon in him, so maybe he hasn't in fact gone back into the past yet, or maybe it's just a future version with a different version of Gideon. So we'll have to wait and see as to where exactly he comes from, because right now we don't have any answers to do with that. And in the reveal with Sherlock Wells, in Nora's Speed Force symbol writing, it's revealed that she has written the timeline is malleable. And this is very, very crucial, because the word malleable actually means easily influenced or pliable. So that is the actual definition in the dictionary. So if you apply it to the timeline and what can be pliable and what can be not, it has been talked about quite a bit in The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, the fact that you can change little bits in time bit by bit, and you can sort of bend it to your own will, and if it's nothing too major, it's not going to really cause too much effect. And that was the problem with Flashpoint, was in the timeline it caused so much effect that in fact it just changed everything, and everything went to shit really. And so with Nora actually saying the timeline is malleable, this obviously we don't know how far back this notebook actually goes, but we're presuming he's looking around about halfway through, so maybe a few months ago or something like that. But if you remember back to season 4, she's been in these 4 specific places, and so with Nora writing to Eobard Thawne that the timeline is malleable, you would hazard the guess that those specific 4 points in time, and then when she's sticking around for now, are so important and key in what she's trying to do in bending the timeline, because it's very evident that she does want to change the timeline, but we don't know her true intent, apart from that she does want to save her father, and so she wants to change the future from his disappearance or death. But that remains to be seen right now, because it's very mysterious. She's working with Thawne. That just brings up the levels of like, can we trust Nora right now or not? So moving on to talking more about the Reverse Flash and Nora together and their working relationship. And so I've been hearing this around a bit online, and this is that the theory of, is Reverse Flash trying to save Barry? And this is sort of what I thought initially when, among a few other things, is he actually, with him being stuck in prison, is he doing this with Nora in order to get a favor with Nora, in order to try and break out of his cell and maybe go live on? And with Nora being so desperate maybe to get her father back, I reckon she would do that. I reckon she would actually help this version of Thorn if Thorn actually helped her. So maybe Thorn could be pulling Nora's strings in order to get him out of Iron Heights. I reckon he is so manipulative, he is so smart. I do think Nora probably thinks she's outthinking him if it is this situation, but in fact I do think it's him overall manipulating her. And so I do think that the best option is Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne is actually trying to help save Barry, with Nora actually sending all this information through Gideon into the future with his genius, with his levels of genius. I reckon they could change the timeline bit by bit in order to actually change what happens in 2024, and this may be his way of getting out of prison. And I think that's a really solid theory that people have been putting around, and so I do overall in the end think he's going to be manipulating her. There will be a twist at some point, I reckon so, but it's just so exciting to see Eobard Thawne back, this different version. We don't know where he's from. Like, he's got blonde hair. Is he like halfway between Matt Letcher and Tom Cavanaugh? Like, what's going on? And his suit is obviously a dampening suit, but it just looks so cool. Like, it's so simple but cool. And right now things are rather ambiguous, and I love how they ended it. It just makes me want to talk about it, makes me want to see more and more. So please share this video, it would mean so much, so lots of people can actually see these theories, see sort of the explanations as to the ending. And so moving on to the next bit, this is another idea that came to mind. Has Thawne been helping her always since she became a speedster? So she's only been a speedster recently, and she's learned a lot of tricks. She knows how to time travel perfectly, she can reverse time, she can do all these different tricks, but she can't phase. So I believe this actually is probably the work of the Reverse Flash. This is probably him teaching her how to time travel perfectly, because if you remember back to season 1, season 2, when Barry time travels, he makes a lot of mistakes. She has not made a mistake, even though she says I made a big mistake at the end of season 4. That was calculated. So I do think she can perfectly time travel, as we've seen in this episode where she actually goes back to when Henry and Nora were actually in their house. Like, she had no trouble. Barry just came running behind, like she didn't know he was coming, but she did that on her own. Then she goes to 2049 by herself. Nothing is changing because she's so precise, so specific. I definitely think she's been taught by Thawne in order how to time travel properly and be a proper speedster, but he hasn't obviously taught her everything, like the phasing, and so that's where her father comes in. Maybe the fact that maybe with him being in prison and with him maybe finding out about Nora being the daughter of the Flash, he would definitely want to train her, but also use that to his advantage, and I think he's definitely manipulating her. And also the time wraiths are not after Nora. And we know basically every time Barry time travels, he gets time wraiths on him because he's not perfect at this, and he's unlike the Reverse Flash. The Reverse Flash can actually keep these time wraiths off for the most part, as we've seen on Legends. I do believe that he has definitely been teaching Nora in how to use her powers, but what are his true motivations? That is a big question. I think overall it's definitely to do with manipulation and to do with power, to do with getting out of this prison, and I definitely think he has taught Nora. So moving on to the next part of the video, and this is in regards to Nora and Barry, so not really to do with Reverse Flash. So I think a question we have to ask, this is an imperative question, is Nora actually Barry's daughter? With all the information we've got in that 100th episode, with the reveal of Dawn Allen being Barry's supposed daughter in the original timeline, is Nora actually Barry's real daughter from the future? We don't know, but they did actually confirm today that Iris is going to be having a future version of herself pop up in this season. So I reckon we're going to explore a bit of the future, a bit of Nora's backstory. Is she actually real? Is she the real daughter? Is she someone else? Or is she maybe a twin? Or is Nora completely faking being his daughter? And is she Thawne's daughter? So that is a theory I've been hearing online. I think that's a little bit of a far-fetched, being that Nora could be Thawne's daughter. I think it's possible, but the way they were interacting, it didn't seem like a father-daughter sort of relationship. I know Thorn wouldn't be a good dad, but I still didn't feel that connection in regards to a father-daughter relationship. So with Dawn Allen getting that name drop, so in the original timeline, Dawn Allen is in fact the daughter of Barry and Iris, and this is confirmed by season 1 Eobard Thawne, aka Harrison Wells, and so he knows of the Flash's daughter as Dawn Allen. So is it just in the original timeline, or in this new timeline has her name changed to Nora, or is she in fact not his real daughter and is in fact a imposter? Because we haven't had any concrete evidence, we haven't gone to the future, and we haven't really had any answers in regards to her backstory. It's just been her telling the story from her perspective. There's been no other perspective, so I think she's an unreliable narrator, and you know, we should definitely question that. And so the idea of her being a twin, I think that's definitely a possibility. They might twist it, maybe Dawn is still in the future, something like that. But anyway, I think there are so many theories we can talk about in regards to this ending scene, but hopefully I explained it for you guys. Hopefully you guys sort of understand this ending a bit more, have a few theories in your mind in regards to the Reverse Flash and Nora working together, and if Nora is actually Barry's daughter. So, you know, there's a lot to talk about, so I'll be sure to make lots of videos as we head into the mid-season break after the Elseworlds crossover in the next couple of days. So anyway guys, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.